Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Profiling Evil Live. I hope that a few of you joined tonight because I want to release this new map on polygamy. And we're going to just take our time tonight. Actually, what I'm going to do, I have been out of town in Dallas, Texas all week. I just got home. My wife's away at meetings for something that she's involved in. And I thought, I don't have anything to do. So I'm going to just join all of you and chat a little bit. So, Lori Phillips, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to look for people in the chat. We'll see if we can fill up the room. And I want to have tonight be not only a focus on the end to Fundamentalist Friday, but we'll talk about anything that you want. Ray Kelly, great to see you here, Captain. I'm glad you were able to make it. Jean Marie, thank you. Plant Lady, looks like people are starting to make it in. And again, I have absolutely no agenda other than to share the polygamy map that I've been working on for several months. And you'll now have access to that. And I hope that you'll all take advantage of it and share it with your friends. Don Marie, thank you. Thanks so much for moderating, those of you who moderate. It really helps out a lot. Jules, hello. Red Rock 59. Kit Kat from Maine, thank you for being here. And listen, I'm going to just do whatever you want tonight. We're going to talk about anything you want to talk about along the way. We're going to bring in this story map and share with you what I've created here. So Glenn Mitchell, thank you for being here. Ray, you'll have to make a decision. So I'm seeing what you got to say here. And Fofa, great to see you here. I'm glad to see you. In fact, I had dinner last night from a guy from Annapolis. And I actually talked about when we had dinner a short time back. But anyway, great to see a bunch of people piling in. Forrest Nelson, thank you. Forrest is up in Canada and just purchased a couple of books. In fact, that's another thing I'm going to do tonight. If you're interested, I'm going to sign She Knew No Fear or Deceived online and call you out as I sign them. I know that some of you have already purchased it, so thank you. But I might even share some of the imagery of the new Children's Justice Center as it's being built. In fact, maybe what I'll do is while we're chatting, I'll pop that in right now just so you can kind of see how exciting things are in regard to that. I flew my drone over it a couple of days ago. And so heck, why don't we open up with that? Since I got Captain Ray on here, he'll want to see that I'm actually using the drone that he talked me into buying anyway. So, so if you're interested, in fact, let me pop up a little thing here. If you want to pick up Deceived or She Knew No Fear and take advantage of me signing it online, please do so. And I'll pop up a little, I think I have a QR code here that you can take advantage of. There we go. So there's a QR code if you want to get Deceived and take advantage of that. And if you've already got it, don't get mad because I'm pushing it. I'm doing everything I can to get money for this Children's Justice Center. And heck, anyway, so Fofa says, yeah, my dad and I were just talking about you. I sent him the young cop Mike picture that I posted the other day. If you didn't see that, the older I get, the better I was, Fofa. So thank you. Anyway, so let me show you, since we're talking about that, waiting for people to come in. This is the new Children's Justice Center. The groundbreaking was 9 weeks ago, and they had to do a lot of clearing out of ground. But let's see here. We'll show this off if I can figure out how to do this. All right, here we go. So I'm going to expect to see some kind of comments from Captain Ray Kelly, who has the coolest drone footage I know of out there and the coolest drone channel. So make sure you're subscribing to him. But hey, this is the new Children's Justice Center. They're getting the footings poured. They've got oh man, Ray, I just noticed there's a bird dive bombing me. I'm glad I didn't notice it then. I would have freaked out a little thinking it was going to take my drone down. So, and yeah, Ray's already pushing his next drone meetup in 2025. So, but I don't know. What do you think about this? Number one, in a second, you're going to see me pan back and you'll see what an incredibly beautiful area this new Children's Justice Center is going to be in. Down here in the bottom where you can see my cursor kind of going is a beautiful river that flows through here and up into this canyon, or from that canyon down. And there are walking trails and places where the caseworkers can walk when they need a little bit of a break, a mental break or a physical break, and give them a chance to look around. So anyway, just beautiful imagery. This is with my little drone, and I think I'll just let that run for a minute while we're looking at some things. And we have been able to donate what I feel like is a really substantial amount of money over the last couple of years from you folks buying books like Deceived. This one here, I'm keeping all the money and I'm spending it on Diet Dr. Pepper. But this here, we're pushing the proceeds to helping children who have been physically and sexually abused. So if you want that book, just follow that QR code on the screen, and you can, I'll get a little text while we're talking tonight, and I'll sign it on the air and call it out. But yeah, this is looking west. The mountains are to the east in this area. And this is the location where the new Children's Justice Center is going to be housed. In fact, to maybe just carry this just a little bit further, I'll stick up a picture of what the Children's Justice Center is supposed to look like. And that might encourage you even a little more to donate. So let's see here. All right, so let's bring up this picture of the Children's Justice Center now. This is what the finished building will look like. And the idea on these is that these little broken tykes that come through the front door, having been physically, sexually, or emotionally abused, are given physical and forensic examinations. They're prepared for the court system, and hopefully they go out the back door days, weeks, months, and sometimes years later, a whole lot healthier than they come in. So thanks so much for anybody considering that. And with that, we'll get back into what we're talking about here. So if there's anything you want to talk about tonight while we're going, go ahead and pop in. Again, I'm not going to be very long, but I wanted to share with you the new StoryMap that we released 30 minutes ago. And I'll put the link up here for that. And holy cow, check this out. Forrest Nelson has just gifted 5 Profiling Evil memberships. Forrest and everybody, please shout out. And somebody here, thank you, Forrest, for that. So very kind. And Glenn Mitchell's asking, what's the name of the Zionist Society book? This is the book, Glenn, and I hope everybody will buy it. It's called Deceived, an investigative memoir of the Zion Society cult. And I'll sign those if anybody buys those. So if you go to Profiling Evil, do not pay for the signed copy. I'll sign them for free, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to push those out. So yeah, busy week for me. I've been in Dallas, Texas, speaking to a group of security officials. I was speaking alongside two longtime friends, one the former director of FEMA through both administrations of the Obama administration, and his name is Craig Fugate. If you look him up, we were speaking on emergency response and the impact of crime during a major emergency or flood or hurricane or things like that. He was speaking from the emergency management side. I was speaking from the law enforcement side. And then we were joined by another dear friend, Jim Featherstone, who is from the Los Angeles metro region, running all of the emergency management stuff there. Now, like us, retired. And I got home. My wife was out of town. And I thought, what am I going to do except for get online and talk? And I know I'm going to get people complaining that they sat here for now 11 minutes and I didn't get into what I said I was going to talk about. So I want to get in and start sharing this, and we'll just talk along the way. So what I'm doing beginning tonight is releasing the new Profiling Evil story map on polygamy groups. So I'm going to kind of change this out a little bit so that it's a little easier to see. And we'll go through this. These story maps are intended to give relevant content to you. In addition to giving relevant content, the idea is that they also provide a way for you to kind of explore the map yourself. So as you scroll down through the map, you'll see some things that interact and have happened just kind of automatically. Like in this case, you can go in and check out different kinds of things. I think something goofy happened here because it's supposed to be, and I'll fix all that when we get done here, but it's supposed to be zooming in on where polygamy in the United States really got to start, which was with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And one of the questions that always comes up that I thought would be really intriguing to just nip in the bud is to talk about the fact that in 1890, right here you can see it, the Latter-day Saint faith said no more polygamy. And that all was the result of something called the manifesto. And so you can go in and check out the manifesto here. You can actually go in and hear people from the Latter-day Saint faith, the manifesto and how it came about. And you can explore that more deeply. You can go in and read the entire manifesto if you want. And get this again for October 6, 1890. And everybody keeps, when you think about Warren Jeffs and all the wacky things that were happening in the FLDS, everybody keeps screaming that it's the mainstream Latter-day Saints, and couldn't be anything further from the truth. In fact, I've gone in here and I even talk about it myself. So there are places where you can click and I go in and share things that I've learned as I've gone along. And these kick over to YouTube videos that I put on, but I talk a little bit about the history of polygamy and some other things. If anybody able to hear the audio on this? And I'm going to watch and see if anybody is responding. So you're not, okay, Fofa, thank you. I'm going to drop this off, and I think I forgot to click a very important button. So I'm going to bring this back in. Let's see. Thanks for being patient with me, folks. We should now be able to get audio on this. So let's just go back in here and see if you pick up the audio. Oh yeah, in fact, everything else is working now too. So I'm glad I changed that. So let's tell me now if you happen to get audio on this. Oh, in fact, you're going to have to do it on your own because I forgot it's actually embedded somewhere else. But I think there's another way to tell that. So as you go through, you'll be able to explore these maps. I built them in a way that you can go in and kind of look at the geography, get used to the areas. Of course, Salt Lake City is not the center point of polygamy. It actually all moved down to an area called Short Creek. And in Short Creek, you'll be able to go in and explore things again, be able to look at things like the aerial imagery that I shot of this place while I was doing my looking around out there. You can go in and explore the map further if you'd like, and look at individual kinds of things on the map, get a little idea of the geography and information around that, including learning about how the area was settled in the late 1800s. And you'll read about it. If you've watched any of my videos, you'll see things like talking about Robert Berry and his wife, who were murdered by a renegade group of Indians. And don't get mad at me for using the word Indians. I vacillate between Native American and Indians, and I've been told both ways that now Indian has returned back as an acceptable term here in the United States. So I'm just trying to be politically correct on that. But as you go through this map, you'll get a good sense of the area. And if any of you ever happen to travel down to Short Creek, you're going to be able to use this as a way to see all the cool spots in the community to really get an idea of what's going on, including you're going to be able to go, as you go through this story map, and hear even that creepy Warren Jeffs speaking. And I'll just click this on.
The Lord hath brought again Zion. The Lord hath redeemed his people, Israel, according to the election of grace.
Now, I don't know about you, but if you can hear that, there is nothing more creepy than me than having to listen to these guys 30 years after I used to chase them. So we'll move on. Let's see. I think I can move on and not have to continue listening to him. There we go. Yep. So
and Satan is bound.
Oh.
And time is no longer.
You know what? I'm going to start this over because I can't stand listening to the guy, and you can choose whether you're going to listen to it or not. So in addition to that, I've got a genealogy of fundamentalism and when it all started, so you can kind of see year by year the breakdown of when these individual fundamentalist groups broke out. So hopefully that'll be something that you'd find some interest in. I thought it was incredibly interesting to see how this thing actually started out. So when the mainstream Latter-day Saint faith discontinued polygamy in 1890, there was a group of families that refused to follow the church. In fact, they believed they knew more, and they went down to the Utah-Arizona border into the southeast corner of Utah, well, but really kind of in the southwest central area of Utah, and you'll see it on a map in a minute, and created the Short Creek area, which later became Hilldale, Utah, and Colorado City, Arizona. But going down there, they were all excommunicated from the Latter-day Saint faith, and they started and continued to practice polygamy down there. As the years went by, they actually then created what became known as the Fundamental, or the FLDS Church. And that still stands today. At its biggest point, it probably had about 15,000 members living in this community. So you can go through and read the history on this. You can go through and learn about things like the most critical moments that changed this from a group of men who were working together in a council to try to decide what was best for the community, to going in and creating what they called the one-man rule, or a self-proclaimed prophet who felt like they were in charge. Little Red is asking, did you arrest Warren Jeffs? No, I did not. He was arrested in Texas, And the chronologically, what was happening is when I was trying to pursue this group, I was primarily chasing Warren Jeffs' father, a guy named Rulon Jeffs. And I spent many years down there trying to get Rulon, his father. When the year 2000 came, Rulon predicted that the end of the world was coming, and he had all of his members from all of the communities across the United States that were outreached areas come back and settle in Short Creek, thinking, kind of like that wacky Chad Daybell was saying, that this would be a place in which they would all come together, and when the end of the world came, they would all take off into the sunset together and rule this new world together, which led to just all kinds of additional problems. So yes, to answer that question, no, I did not arrest Warren Jeffs. Hey, and Forrest, thank you. If you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the like button and all of that stuff. We're looking at the story map that I've created for the fundamentalist polygamy or plural marriage community of the FLDS. And this is a place that I worked many years trying to infiltrate and break apart. And now we're finally seeing that actually happen, which is pretty dang cool. Let me just see if there are any comments here. Zelda says, my great-grandfather was raised on an Indian reservation in Palm Springs. Let's see. And if we can find a connection, we'll be smoking some good stuff. I thought you were going to say something about polygamy. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So then we're going to get into an actual in the story map, an actual tour of Short Creek. And you can go in and you can explore these maps in detail and look at the information more closely. I've got some really high resolution maps that you might enjoy looking at. And as you go through this area, you're going to see a lot of really cool things that we talk about later, including we're going to talk about this place in a while, the baby cemetery. Just kind of keep in mind, you can just go off on your own tangents and explore this. And every episode of the 14 episodes that I did are listed in here so that if there's something that really interests you, you can go back and watch the episode. So episode 1 was the history of polygamy, how it all came to be in the area. And then we start moving into what's really going on in the area. And I started looking at individual parts of the community that were important to me, places like Maxwell Park, and you can learn about that. Or again, the infant cemetery. And the infant cemetery, I'm just really proud of some of the work we did there, because we went beyond just talking about the cemetery. And I went out and mapped the cemetery, and you can actually go to the map that I've created, and there you can search through the map. And I'll just show you the, let's see if I can show you the smaller version here. You can go in and start to explore not only the cemetery itself. Oops, let's see. Well, maybe what we will do, we'll go back to that later, but I think many of you have seen, I put a link already online where you can go and see the infant cemetery. But here is a place where about 250 babies were buried. They were never documented with birth certificates, and they were never documented with death certificates, which always was very troubling to me. And as an official, I couldn't get answers from the Board of Health or anyone else in the state. And when I retired in January, I decided I'm going to take care of some of these ghost stories myself. And I went and I spent several weeks down there mapping out every single baby that was buried in that cemetery that I could find. And I found 215 of those babies, many of which had tombstones like you're seeing right here. In fact, let me just, we'll just pop out of that for a second, and I'll show you what I created for the baby cemetery. And again, there are links to all of this that I'll be providing at the end here. So let me pop this up, and we'll go over and take a quick look at that. So this is the baby cemetery. And what I've done is I've gone in and I've actually marked. Well, first I flew with a drone. Again, thanks to my buddy Captain Ray. I really got into the drone business, but I thought it would be important for you to see the condition of these little graves. And you can see some of them are just really kind of tragic. And here on the left, you can see the little headstones for each of those graves. And what I did is I created a place where the family members of these little tykes could, if they choose, come in and start to add information to this. So here on this little Zitting grave, in fact, I'll just pop this up. This little baby Zitting was died in 1978. This is the tombstone for that little tiny baby. And for those of you who might watch Growing Up in Polygamy with Sam and Melissa Zitting Wyson, Sam actually went online and went and decided to create a video talking about his little sister that was buried there. So I'll just play that if I can. Oh, I keep forgetting the way I've done this so that I can hear audio. You can't. So I'll put the link in here. You'll be able to go in, examine it anyway. But you'll see as you go in here, I was able to find at least these graves in the infant cemetery and identify who these little children were. I was never able to figure out who is buried over here. And this cemetery actually came to fruition in about 1950. And I only found 2 graves from the 50s, most starting in the late 60s and 70s. And so I really wonder about this area over here, and if it may have just fallen in such disrepair that there are graves but not identified. And many of you are going to say, why aren't you putting ground penetrating radar and everything else? This is privately held property. And frankly, when you start, most of the babies buried here are probably less than a week old. And those baby bones are much different than old people whose bones are brittle, and they decompose much differently. Finding them in ground penetrating radar is often difficult. And then the question is, what would you do if you did find them? Although it's always troubled me, and I hope at some point we can find a way to get archaeologists to go in and actually exhume all these bodies and properly identify them, and frankly, identify how they died. But most importantly, when you go through this part of the story map, I want you to spend some time as I chase some of the ghost stories of why there were so many babies in that cemetery. And I think you'll find that to be pretty intriguing as well. So we'll go back to the regular story map that I was working on with you before. And again, you're going to be able to explore this thing in great detail on your own time, and I certainly hope you do. But from the baby cemetery, we go into things like the leadership of the group. We talk about Warren Jeffs going to prison. We talk about power plays and who tried to take over. And then we start moving through and talking about some of the changes that occurred over time. And so hopefully you'll find these to be pretty darn entertaining. And I'll tell you what, it was a bunch of work. So I hope you'll look at it a little bit, because I did put a lot of work into it. And Stardusty says, hey, is this the caves? I watched it today. So Stardusty, yes, it's actually the last episode. And I'm glad you watched it. And I hope it was pretty amazing to you, because I still think it was pretty amazing to me. Zelda, yeah, you're a drone pilot. Thanks. Oh, Red Rock, I wanted to mention this. You said that the cemetery map will be a benefit to the community. The community didn't want it. The community hasn't had it for 100 years and have not kept any records on these little infants. And I'm not exactly sure why, but I decided I was going to do it anyway. I went to the city. They didn't have any record of anything there. I went to the P, which owns all the land. They didn't have any records of it. And I had many, many members of the FLDS community who stopped by and chewed me out for being there and trying to exploit or identify where these bodies were. So there are a lot of people that are probably more unhappy than happy about this, but I have been receiving emails back from members of the FLDS who have left that faith tradition, left polygamy, and they are reaching out and they're incredibly grateful. And I did say to the UEP who owns all that land that they are welcome to take all of my records if they will publish an official map and if it will stay up. But until it is published officially by them, I'm going to continue to do this, and it's going to probably continue to make a bunch of people pretty unhappy. But that's, I guess, kind of what you can do when you retire. I don't know. So anyway, we'll continue on. We go through and talk about some pretty incredible things that happened that actually led to big changes in the group, including a big raid that occurred in 1953, where hundreds of children were taken into police custody. Some of those children were never returned to their families, and that created a lot of animosity and even further exclusion from being active with the communities around them. So we talk about that. We go on and talk about the years in which Warren Jeffs was on the 10 most wanted list with the FBI. And we talk about the church they built. And in fact, here you can see in this little video here is the drone flying around the church that they built that's now being renovated now that the community has been stripped of all of their assets and is being turned into a community center. So what once was only a place where FLDS could go, now the entire community will have access to this and be able to go in and enjoy community events there. So, and like Red Rock is saying in the chat box, it really is a new community as a result of all of this stuff that's been going on. So, as you continue through the story map, we're even going to go out to where the prophets were buried and talk about the adult cemetery, and we'll spend some time there. And then we'll have a little evening where I get with the polygamy, growing up in polygamy team and talk about some of the dynamics of polygamy. We'll talk about what happened and where they planned on building the temple that eventually ended up in Texas and became the stronghold of the FLDS until Warren Jeffs was arrested and put in prison for the rest of his life. And then links to get you back to the story maps. And then our final episode, which is such an exciting one, and you gotta go see this. In fact, I'm gonna just ask Stardust Shorty to write her comments in the chat box below, and we'll pop them up on the screen here. But the secret caves will absolutely blow your mind, because it is a ghost story that I heard about my entire law enforcement career of investigating closed societies. It was a place I was worried about because there were ghost stories suggesting that the FLDS people were stockpiling weapons and high explosives, and nobody would ever talk about where it was. It took me 33 years to find this place, and I was given an opportunity to go in alone and search through the caves. And I think you'll enjoy that little walkthrough. And then I have just some simple maps where you can go in and explore the entire community and go through and look at the location that each of these places were located and what went on in those. And this seems to be pretty interesting. From there, though, the thing I want to point out is the videos where I talk about how Warren Jeffs ordered the FLDS people to start to go and rebuild the community and the church in other parts of the United States. And this is a map where I actually have documented places that I know they have gone out and started new strongholds. And so for me in Utah, this polygamy story is slowly coming to a close, but I believe for many other places in the United States, and I suspect eventually beyond, including we know already in Canada, that it will continue on. So while we may have cut off the head of a snake, I'm afraid other heads grew. In addition to that, you'll see some other clips, like when I spent the night in Warren Jeff's house, and of course the story map that we're talking about, a plug for growing up in polygamy, and that is the story map on the FLDS. And I hope that you'll all go there. And at the end of this video, I'm going to put up a link where you can go and get that. So I'll look and see if you have any questions, and we'll move from there. And to Nikki Johnson, I don't know exactly what that means, Nikki, but I probably will see Jennifer in a CrimeCon next week. I saw her last year there, and I think that's the only time I ever talked to her was last year. She does things a little differently than I do them, and we each approach this true crime community a little differently, I think, and I guess that is good. So let me see now if there are any things. Ray, thanks so much. This is great reporting. I hope it was. Red Rock, the baby cemetery map is hopefully helpful to the community. And Nikki, I see your response back. Looks like Leanne Forsberg from Canada is here. Thanks for stopping in, Leanne. And I think with that, I'll ask you a couple of times if anybody has any questions. I'll remind you that if you are interested in picking up either Deceived or She Knew No Fear, you can go to this little QR code and pick this up. And I'm going to ask for help, because I came up with this incredible idea to buy my wife this really cool present from her childhood. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just say in the chat box, do any of you remember the Chatty Cathy doll from the 1950s? Because my present fell flat, and I learned that it wasn't Chatty Cathy that my wife liked. It was another one. And so I have this doll, and I'm going to just say, if somebody wants to give me $250 that will go directly to the Children's Justice Center, you can have this in the box Chatty Cathy. Never, let's see. She's never been out of the box. She's got the little pull string. Let's see. Yeah, so you can, let's see if I get this right. So if there are any old timers out there that always wanted the Chatty Cathy, and I promise you the money will go directly to the Children's Justice Center, you can have it, or I'm going to take it down there and give it to them to auction off. But what I've learned is this thing is absolutely not what my wife wanted. So it was a bad gift from beginning to end. But regardless, I think it's still pretty cool, and it's in really good shape. And I probably paid way too much money for it. Let's see if I can get that. There we go. But holy cow. I don't know if you should trust me. I can't even get this. Oh, there we go. Back in the box. But there's Chatty Cathy if anyone wants her. So you can just email me or something. Email me at profilingevil@gmail.com. In fact, I'll put it right here. Chatty Kathy. And Miss Mary says she got a Chatty Kathy for Christmas when she was in the 2nd grade. Yeah, let's see. Chatty Kathy, $250 to the Children's Justice Center Building Fund. And you can write your check directly to them to prove I'm not taking your money, and email me at profilingevil@gmail.com. And this is how I'll send you my the address to the Children's Justice Center. You can send the check directly to them. When I know that you've got it on the way, I'll send you the Chatty Kathy, and my hands will be clean, and Chatty Kathy won't be sitting in the corner staring at me, reminding me of how poorly I picked when I was picking that particular gift out. The Children's Justice Center, we're hoping, will be done by the end of the year, which is pretty dang aggressive considering we're at the stage you saw today, which was taken last Monday before I flew to Dallas. So it to me is long. And Ray, I would love to have you attend the grand opening. In fact, any of you that want to come to Utah, that would be really cool. I'm actually going to fly 6 or 8 of the victim survivors from the Zion Society. That's this book here again, folks. Out to be at the ribbon cutting. They'll be meeting with the press. They were the first children through the first Justice Center in Utah, the second in the United States when that case happened. And I'm just so thrilled to be able to see this coming together. And the government is footing most of the bill. So what I'm doing is I'm paying for things like enhanced camera systems and other kinds of things for the director, that so that he doesn't have to go through a competitive bid and can get the right kind of equipment for this. So it's our way of helping out a little bit and doing our best. So anyway, if you are interested in helping in any of that, you can always just go direct to the Children's Justice Center. In fact, let's see. I'll put the link up. In fact, I'll just pull up I'll just pop this up on the screen. So this is the website for the Children's Justice Center, and you can donate directly here, but it'll go to the Friends of the Children's Justice Center, which is used for something different than building this new Children's Justice Center, which I am not supporting. I'm supporting the director, who I was a street cop with, and doing everything I can to help him in his pursuit of getting this thing put together. But this is a place where today, this is the existing building that they're in. It is no longer adequate. And so there's a place if you want to just donate direct, if you don't trust me, or you'll be going through Rod Layton here. I'll be having you send a check directly to him, to the building fund for this new center. And that's where I hope you'd put the money rather than going direct and just putting a deposit in that manner. So it's up to you. And to all of you, thank you so much for your support of Profiling Evil. I mean, we don't get many opportunities just to go live, and I wanted to take a few moments. It doesn't look like there really are any questions. So I'm not going to waste any more of your time other than to tell you how very much I appreciate your support over the years of Profiling Evil. We continue to grow. I'll be at CrimeCon next week in Nashville, and I'll probably just do a lot of posts in the community. I may do a live at night and share a couple of things, but I'll be doing Court TV live there. I'll be doing, I think, 3 presentations there and meeting with a bunch of friends. I even have a couple of country western artists from Nashville who I happen to be friends with the tour director of their tours that's bringing them over to visit and wander around. So we'll be having some fun in Nashville, and maybe I'll see some of you. But thank you so much, everybody, again, for all that you do for Profiling Evil. And hopefully all you're doing for little kids that suffer. We'll plan on seeing you all soon at the next crime scene.